Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together and talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Saturday Night Mike.
And I am Brain Scan Shane.
Welcome to episode 77, Saturday Night Main Event 31.
Hells yeah.
I always love it when we do a Saturday Night Main Event.
This is my first Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hell yeah.
Only 40 minutes.
Short show, woo!
Yeah, you normally get a little bit more of the like staged promos, which
Yes.
I always enjoy.
This is the 31st edition of Saturday Night Main Events, obviously, produced by the WWF. It would take place on October 27th, 1992 at the Holman Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. But it wouldn't air until November 14th with an attendance of 4,300 people. Is this the smallest WWF show we've ever seen?
That's kind of
Yeah, it's like that's a good house show, right?
But I mean,
so.
it's neck and neck with those big WCW shows. So.
Oh well, yeah. Yeah, but like 5,000 is like WCW's sweet spot, and they just have to keep going to Georgia to get it.
Boy, do they ever.
Baltimore and
Baltimore
and Atlanta.
Yeah.
This would also be the last Saturday Night Main Event for 14 years.
Oh, really?
Wild.
As this one was actually on Fox and not NBC, like I think the previous ones that we've watched.
Yeah, because it used to be like a thing that was on when they didn't have
Saturday Night
SNL,
Live,
or maybe before or after. I don't know. I wasn't watching it then.
Even though it drew a rating of 6.2. Like, if a show got a 6.2 rating nowadays, it would be the highest rated show on TV.
Yeah, that's like
Yes.
still doing better than Game of Thrones, probably.
But yeah, this was around the time, I want to say, that Fox was trying to do something with their Saturday Nights
I think
lineup.
Mad TV started around this time.
did
Mad TV was around this
Mad
time.
TV rules.
So yeah, they had to take a page from NBC, not only with their variety show on Saturday nights, but also bringing over the WWF.
I mean, I guess the WWF's not trashy, quite so trashy yet, but it fits on the same channel as Mad TV, which is incredibly trashy,
Yes.
which is why it's good.
This is when like Married with Children was reaching its peak popularity, and so
Beautiful trash.
love it.
But we're in Indiana. So what did Shane's food trip around the world bring us this week?
I didn't know that this had an origin at all.
I didn't really either until I researched it, and I brought food from Indiana last time, so I decided we'd switch it up and bring a beverage. So I looked up to see what are some of the popular drinks in Indiana.
I'm pretty sure this is popular anywhere
popular
where people
everywhere.
breathe.
I've actually never had one before.
Oh, wow.
Really?
It's not
You're
bad.
in for a treat, buddy. Yeah, what goes better with Saturday night than alcohol? And what type of alcohol do college wrestling fans typically enjoy? But shots.
Yeah.
So we went for a Jaeger bomb. Nice little Jägermeister.
Nice little Jägermeister.
Well, I mean, it technically is
Can
a
you
little
smell?
Jägermeister.
Can you smell the licorice? It smells like a Pantera concert.
I bought the mini airport bottles. It's
Yeah.
like black licorice and
Nobody.
mouthwash.
Yeah.
Perfect
Nobody
combination.
needs a whole bottle of Jaeger. You don't pour them together. You take the shot and then the Red
No, you
Bull,
pour it
right?
in.
Oh, okay.
Typically,
It's like the drop.
Typically,
glass.
you'd have it in a pint glass and you drop an actual
Oh.
shot glass into it. But
We can do that. I have more shot glasses.
Yeah, I decided to go the less mess route, and we'll just pour
Okay.
in and drink. So
I once did when the Sparks was a thing. There's a club around here that I'd go to, and one of the owners, he would do Sparks, which was like alcoholic Red Bull basically, and Jaeger. It was a nice memory.
little Jaeger, little Red Bull, clink through the plexi.
Clink, clink.
Clank, clank.
Hey, to Saturday night.
Well, we're all enjoying that tasty beverage.
Now it's all right for fighting.
something that was
So
happening.
you're supposed to throw the whole thing back. That's the whole point.
I had to get back to talking.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
You know me,
okay.
I like to make mine last until the last word. So.
All right, well.
Things that were happening in the world around the time of Saturday Night Main Event. Bill Clinton would defeat George H.W. Bush and Ross Perot in the presidential election.
Did Ross Perot even have a chance?
He had quite a big following.
He's probably the best chance for an independent
that's like ever happened.
Ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely.
He was.
He became a full-on Saturday Night Live character.
Oh,
so we
I
know
remember
that during election time,
So,
you don't matter unless you get made fun of on Saturday Night Live. So
none other than the sax man himself. I always think of was it Phil Hartman, where he did Bill Clinton, and he was like running and like going into McDonald's and just eating everybody's fries.
Yep.
I think about that just about any time I hear the name Bill Clinton. That, and then there's this thing that I can't even Google anymore, but back like in early days of MTV2, they did a thing called Virtual Bill, and it was like a bumper in between their like animation block of like, you know, like
Aeon
Daria
Flux
and like in Aeon, and like it was like reruns Aeon Flux because it had already been way past that. But Virtual Bill was pretty funny.
So like Max Headroom with Bill Clinton? Or?
Yeah, but it was like really bad early like CGI, and he'd like be like, "You hear the new Chemical Brothers album?" And that was like the joke. Like it was pretty fun. But I watched a lot of early MTV2, and it was like mostly music videos, and then sometimes they'd like play old animation. Virtual Bill.
MTV2
Somebody put it on YouTube.
I never really watched MTV2.
It was great for a while.
I'd sit there and watch it for hours on end just to listen to Dashboard.
They when it was like before they started putting TV shows on it, and it was just like an extra, like a dish channel or whatever, like a direct TV channel.
Yeah.
It was great because it was just like nothing but
it was
music
what
videos.
MTV was.
Yeah, originally, yeah.
I kind of miss. I mean, granted, I haven't watched
A music
new
video,
music video in a long time. Aside
Well, you didn't
from
watch,
when Beyonce
WAP?
releases a movie video.
That's what YouTube's for now.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and head off to the show. We get Vince McMahon and Bobby the Brain Heenan welcoming us, and they run down the card. We got 3 action-packed matches.
All championship matches.
So are you trying to tell me that this is a Clash of Champions?
Compared to other
Saturday Night Clash of Champions?
Compared to other shows, yes, this is a Clash of Champions.
So we're headed to our first match. We got Money Inc. of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Irwin R. Schyster with Jimmy Hart versus the Ultimate Maniacs of Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man Randy Savage
The energy is palpable.
for the WWF Tag Team Championship.
The energy is palpable, but that tag team name is just
I know.
atrocious.
I feel like when I wrote it down the first time, I wrote it down wrong, I had the Savage Maniacs, which I guess is just
Savage and Savage.
Savage and Savage. Which,
What about the Macho Warriors?
Macho Warriors is pretty good, but you got to have. I guess the Mania is. There's so many options. I feel like the Ultimate Maniacs,
The Ultimate Savages?
the Ultimate. Yeah,
There we go.
There you go.
I could go for that
I
one.
like that. But Savage Maniacs is just
Savage Warriors? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, that's just a thing.
What's the Savage Warriors?
A warrior that's savage?
Oh, okay. I thought it was like another tag team that I don't know.
That's what I was thinking too.
Oh, yeah.
Like I haven't
But
watched
Savage
much
Maniacs-
I'm sure there
recently,
actually
so-
might have been a wrestler called Savage Warrior at some point.
Of all the, he's in a backyard fed somewhere.
Yeah.
Of all the options they had for that name, they feel like they picked the worst one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Maniacs rush the ring to attack Money Inc., hitting double clotheslines on both men before tossing them over the ropes to the floor. And Heenan has started a new telestrator gimmick,
Which
called
is
the Brain Scan.
Greatest thing of all time.
And he draws a caricature of Ross Perot and making fun of his ears.
They're cheap jokes, but that's why we love Bobby.
Once everyone settles down, Savage atomic drops DiBiase into Warrior for a punch, and then he flare flops for a 2 count. A leaping guillotine by Macho, Warrior with the vertical suplex, and goes for the running shoulder block, but $1 Million Man sidesteps him and tosses him face first to the mat.
Trashed him to the mat.
IRS comes in to slow it down with a sleeper on the Warrior. We get a split screen and see Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, and Razor Ramon
Ramon. You gotta
in
roll
the
that off.
locker room watching the match. They then cut a promo saying how the Manaics won't survive at Survivor Series. Everyone's favorite show, right?
Yeah.
Totes.
While they're talking, DiBiase has come in and locked on the $1 Million Dream, which is then broken up by a high knee from Savage. $1 Million Man and Warrior clothesline each other for a double KO. Warrior crawls to the corner for the hot tag. Macho's in with left jabs, a back body drop to IRS, a clothesline to DiBiase, body slam and top rope elbow drop on Schyster. Makes the cover, only for $1 Million Man to break up the pin.
Boo.
Yeah.
A Pier 6 brawl begins with Warrior slamming DiBiase's head into a turnbuckle multiple times, and Savage does the same to IRS.
Back on Pier 6 already, huh?
Warrior clotheslines $1 Million Man to the floor, while Macho atomic drops Schyster over the ropes. Jimmy Hart grabs the tag belts, and Money Inc. just walks off to the back, getting counted out in the process.
You know, like a real heel do.
Exactly. Post-match, the Ultimate Maniacs take off after Money Inc.
If we know Warrior can do anything, it's run.
Exactly.
But they're ambushed by Razor, Flair, and Perfect, and it's 5-on-2. Officials come out to break it up as we go to commercial.
Well then.
That was a fun match.
Yeah. It sets up a thing. How long has Razor been around at this point? I guess
he basically showed up right after
the last PPV.
SummerSlam.
Right after SummerSlam, because he actually helped Flair win the belt from Savage. A couple nights after SummerSlam.
This belt's been moving so much. I'm just like, who got it, when, and how, and where?
Yeah, it basically changed. It's changed twice since we saw
yourself.
SummerSlam.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that Macho had it. I was like, who did Ric Flair get it off of? And I didn't know he got it off Savage. And I'm like,
well, Savage and Warrior at SummerSlam for the belt.
Oh yeah.
And then 2 nights later, Flair took it off of Savage with the help of Razor and the hurt leg that was done at SummerSlam.
But not on TV?
I believe they did show it on Wrestling Challenge at one point.
But but the Bret Hart one is the one that's not on TV.
But
we'll get to that later.
Bret Hart, I mean, we can mention it now.
Yeah, I mean, he does have...
We're talking about the title. But Hart then would win it at a house show in Saskatoon.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll tell me all about why that happened later.
Basically, Vince wanted to make the change because he saw Bret as the future of the company, and Flair was basically ready to leave.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
And so
it does. The Ric Flair and the WWF doesn't feel right.
Gel.
Yeah,
quite.
It's kind of like when we saw Hammer go over there to WCW, and we're like, oh, this is where his people are.
It just feels right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're off to our second match. Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Davey Boy's using his power advantage early on, only for Shawn to slide underneath and pop the Bulldog in the face. Attempt a hip toss, which Davey Boy blocks, only for Michaels to do a flip and complete the hip toss into a short arm scissors. Bulldog tries to lift him, only for his back to give for a moment, but then Davey Boy gets Shawn up to slam him, followed by a press slam and a clothesline that sends Michaels out to the floor. Back in the ring, Shawn's with a cheap shot in the corner, goes for multiple catapults, but the Bulldog keeps spinning out of them, followed by an arm drag into an armbar, only for Michaels to escape with a big right hand. A running shoulder block from Davey Boy, charges in again, but Shawn sidesteps him, and he goes through the ropes and to the floor. While the ref starts his count, Michaels heads off to a corner and begins to take a turnbuckle pad off.
Oh, we love this, right?
I do.
I'm a big fan of that.
A little heel, Shawn.
Yeah,
a little bit. But hey, he's missing his manager.
It's
he's
still so much
take matters
more
into his own hands.
More subtle than pulling the whole, exposing the wood of the mat and then forgetting about it for 30 minutes.
Yes.
For it to finish. It's just so much more, subtle and more reasonable.
Yeah. Got to kill him in at a time. Go over and just fiddle
it
with
could
the
go
ropes
either
of the
way.
turnbuckle.
Shawn could end up getting that reverse whip and eating it later. Like, it's good. Good way to make a match end quickly. Or I'd love to see somebody do this and just never use it at all.
Yeah.
Once back in the ring, Shawn with the snapmare starts working on the back of the Bulldog, applying an ab stretch, only for Davey Boy to hip toss out and go for a leaping elbow drop. But Michaels moves and starts working again on the back. Shawn locks on that ab stretch again, and again the Bulldog hip tosses out. But he does connect with the leaping elbow drop this time. Davey Boy with a faceplant Irish whips Michaels to a corner for a corner flip, but falls back into the ring to receive a clothesline, is then catapulted into a turnbuckle, followed by another clothesline, but the Bulldog hesitates to make a cover, so he only gets a 2 count. Davey Boy with a stalling vertical suplex for another near fall, and then he goes for an Irish whip, but Shawn reverses it, sending Davey Boy back first into the exposed turnbuckle.
That's how you gotta stop that big beefy boy.
And both men are down.
Because Shawn just took a beating.
Once they're back to their feet, Michaels tries for another Irish whip, only for the Bulldog to reverse it, sending Shawn to the corner where he ends up horizontally on the top rope. So Davey Boy kicks Michaels to cause him to be sitting prone on the top rope. The Bulldog climbs to hit the superplex, but his back gives out, and Shawn lands on top for the pin and the win. And new!
Yay.
Shawn Michaels,
First singles title.
first title, technically.
First acknowledged title.
Acknowledged title, correct.
Yeah. I was just like, man, I guess Davey's gone.
This would be Davey Boy's
And that's why I was like,
last WWF match for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer.
We'll see him again shortly.
A couple years.
In the WWF.
Yeah.
In this world of podcasts,
What do you mean,
a couple years flies by in no time.
Yeah, but it's sad to see him go, but it's, he's been his own worst enemy for a minute now. There's a reason that this is all going down. Bret could tell you all about it.
That and the steroid allegations that Vince is going through. He's kind of
it's like showing the perfect time to build Bret Hart is like, he's believably buff.
Yeah.
It's like that looks like a guy that works out a lot. Or Shawn Michaels is like, that looks like a guy that takes care of himself, as opposed to British Bulldog. You're like, nobody can be that big without steroids. It's just not possible.
The perfect time? Foreshadowing?
Mm-hmm.
Mean Gene's then in the locker room with Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, and Razor Ramon.
Flair, all those R's.
Flair congratulates Michaels on his win, but reminds him and Bret Hart that I'm waiting in the wings after Survivor Series. Because it looks like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were already signed for a match for Survivor Series before either one of them even had a belt. But now it's going to be both the champions against each other. Perfect says the Manaics, the name fits Macho and Warrior perfectly. So Mr. Perfect disagrees with you guys.
I'm sorry, Kurt. But
And he is perfect, so...
we like him. I'm a fan.
Maybe you guys are wrong.
I mean, you telling me you agree with Mr. Perfect?
He named his son Michael McGillicuddy, so... he has nowhere to talk about.
I mean, you can't change your last name.
The Ramon chimes in with, who cares about bad days, good days, SummerSlam. I love fighting everywhere. Flair, it's perfect. It's machismo. It's the nature boy. And at Survivor Series, it's not about winning or losing. It's about making it out of the building in one piece.
Sounds more like a cage match declaration.
I know. I was like,
I'm pretty sure Survivor Series is about winning and losing. Yeah,
this is Flair's most we're gonna beat you up promo ever.
It's a good it's a good promo. The promos are on here all the way around are so good. I just can't believe that Razor Ramon has fucking razor blades on his trunks. That's so crazy to me. It's like, we're trying to get away from this whole steroid thing, but y'all know anything about cocaine? It's like just bananas to me.
Yeah.
That's that they, and I guess it's just because Vince is an idiot. But like, because he supposedly didn't even know that it was like a Scarface rib.
He probably did.
Yeah, like, which is, I mean, I can't imagine the guy does anything but work.
In 30 years, he'll probably realize that, oh, COVID, that was a thing, right? We then go to Mean Gene in the back with Bret Hart. And Gene tells us about how Hart got Flair to submit to the sharpshooter in Saskatoon to become champion. And that this is his first defense tonight. And Bret starts talking about his family and the dungeon, where Stu would teach them hold after hold and to never quit.
I think this is the first time I remember him actually talking about the dungeon. I know it's been mentioned before on TV, but I think
this is the first time
I feel like I've heard it mentioned by like
others.
By other people. I think like maybe Bobby talked about it during the Bulldog and the Bulldog match. But yeah, this is the first time I'm like, oh, Bret said the dungeon.
So we're off to our third match. Papa Shango versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship.
Remember how last time I was complaining about Ron Simmons having shitty people to start off with for his championship run? Poor Bret. You're giving Papa Shango as your first defense.
I would make the argument that I guess in WCW they're always defending it, but like with Bret, his whole thing is like, hey, I'm just going to defend my belt all the time, and it seems like it's trying to get away from the thing where Hogan defends the belt like,
on the 4 big shows.
Yeah, like twice a year and just destroys them in 3 minutes with a leg drop.
So there's a reason that Papa Shango was his opponent.
Okay.
Before SummerSlam, whenever Bret Hart faced Bulldog, Papa Shango actually put a curse on Bret that he would lose his belt. And they just haven't matched up since then.
You know what I'm into?
Curses?
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe in them, but they're cool.
Like shit, fuck.
Oh, yes. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of those.
There goes our PG rating for this shit.
Yeah, sorry, kids.
Like, there's no podcasts that are PG. All the ones that don't curse talk about murder and rape. So they're even worse than the things that we say. I mean... Because those things actually happen.
A shout out to my friends Angela Kinsey and
Jenna Fisher.
Jenna Fisher, yeah, they're very PG on their Office Ladies show.
Office Ladies.
I like to call them my friends in hopes that they'll call me a friend.
Keep myself quiet, so I keep my friends.
They'd have to actually listen to us though. So, if you're paying attention, Angela and Jenna, give us a shout out on Twitter.
Oh yeah, of course, that's definitely happening.
Hey, you put it into the universe, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I didn't mention it the last time we saw Papa Shango, but Papa Shango, aka the Godfather, is a WWE Hall of Famer.
Hey, that'll teach him to be late on his entrance on his last show, because you show up
also,
late, you get skipped.
He has one of the greatest Twitters, because just like him smoking weed and being happy all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so funny. He's such a corny, 50-year-old man, and it's just, he's like selling Papa Shango COVID masks and just taking pictures with bongs, and it is a very good follow. It's very funny.
Like if they would sell a warrior mask that just went over my nose.
There you go.
Hey, that's
maybe
all I need.
Points down a little bit too. Why not make it extra big?
So the match gets going with Shango pounding away on Hart until Bret takes over with a monkey flip, a crossbody, an atomic drop, and a clothesline that sends Papa out to the floor. Hitman then flies over the ropes with a pescado. Once they're back in the ring, Shango reverses an Irish whip to send Bret chest first into the turnbuckle, going to work on Hart, slamming his head into the turnbuckle, locking on a bear hug, only for the Hitman to escape by biting Papa's forehead.
What is the deal with Bret biting people?
Have you seen those teeth?
Scratch and claw.
They're nice teeth.
No matter what.
Yeah,
Don't
I guess.
Quit.
Yeah,
that's right.
Learn that in the dungeon.
I wish I could do a Stu Hart.
With a name like
that man talks like a crazy person.
Shango with a back elbow, a headbutt to the gut, a double chokehold, and locks on the trap hold.
Yay, a trap hold, my favorite.
I mean,
It's no test of strength, but it'll do.
Do you prefer the trap hold over the test of strength?
No.
Okay, good.
So I'm surprised that you guys didn't realize that Papa Shango was in the curse thing, because Vince actually says it in the match.
What was the curse? Was just that he was going to lose. It's a pretty convenient curse.
Yeah. There's just something about Papa Shango. You
goes in
see
when you're
him
not
throw
together.
one curse, you see him throw 14.
But literally,
He makes
Vince was
Warrior-
talking about it, and I was all like, I don't think Bret's complaining too much, because he's won the world title now. So,
Yeah.
Curse me again.
Long title run. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I do have trap hold written down here. And a trap hold.
Bret elbows out only to run into a clothesline, and Shango goes right back to the trap hold, which Hart elbows out of again, goes for a sunset flip, but Papa stays up and punches down. But Hitman moves in time. Shango then charges into a boot from Bret before he applies a sleeper, but Papa runs him headfirst into a turnbuckle, hits multiple elbow drops, goes up to the second rope, coming off with another, but Hart avoids.
One too many.
Something about watching Bret jump on the back of Papa Shango to put on the sleeper, it just made me laugh. I don't know why, because just how he landed on there. It was like a little kid just hanging off the back of somebody. He wasn't really doing anything, but it made me realize just how much bigger old Papa Shango was compared to...
Yeah, I always forget how big Godfather is. He's just like a naturally big dude.
Hitman with the Russian leg sweep, the backdrop, the flying clothesline, all for 2 counts. Shango then reverses an Irish whip to send Bret to the corner, attempt an avalanche splash, but Hart moves and locks on the sharpshooter for the submission and the win.
And still.
Hey, first successful network title defense.
Yeah, couldn't win it on TV, but you can defend it there.
We then go to the funeral parlor.
Yes.
With Paul Bearer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great place to be.
And he tells us that The Undertaker has been very busy designing a special casket just for Kamala.
Oh my God. The clips of Undertaker building the casket, there's a blueprint, and the blueprint is incredible. It looks so awesome. And I just assumed that I could find it on the internet. But somebody WWE or somebody that makes bootleg merch I couldn't find it at all. But if you could find this and sell it as a quality poster, it would make such a great poster. Just such a great screen print, because it looks so good. It's really awesome. And I Googled it for 15 minutes before I gave up. So I was just trying so hard to find a legitimate, even just a photo of it from the clip, let alone a high res PDF of it.
Now the vignettes that they did for Taker back in the day, I mean, still today, anything that has to do with Taker, they throw all of their energy into. But yeah, just compared to everything else that they were doing back then, they put so much time and energy and focus into
the last time they did this, it was Ted DiBiase. As far as energy and doing it right and taking the time.
Yep. Or Mr. Perfect with his spit the gum, smack the thing out, make the perfect shot, make the perfect dive.
Yeah, but they fucked that one up way too quick.
Thanks, Brutus.
We then go to video highlights of when Undertaker set up from the 3 splashes that Kamala gave him at SummerSlam. And then Taker comes out of a casket and delivers this promo.
Creak.
There's no need to fear the journey that awaits you. There's been many unfortunate souls that have been made this journey. And just like all the rest, you will suffer the same fate as the worms, the maggots, and the larvae as they take turns feasting on our rotting carcasses. There will be only one thing left for me to take, Kamala, and that is your soul. Rest in peace.
Creak. That's him going back into the coffin.
Everything about that little thing there, I loved. The set, the lighting, The way that the light
what do you call it?
went over Undertaker's eyes and then would just kind of rock back and forth with the shadows going over his face. Just, yeah, they set up that shot perfectly. And it's one that's watching it again now as opposed to almost 30 years ago. God, I'm old. Yeah, it still holds up and gave me the same chills.
I shrugged.
Shut up. I bribe you with alcohol and food, not to say stuff.
It's all right. We're all old to somebody.
Mean Gene's then in the back where he's joined by Bret Hart. And Gene tells us that we're going to get champion versus champion at Survivor Series, like I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn Michaels then interrupts them to make sure Bret knows that he is going to win, saying, I beat the man who beat you. Because he beat Davey Boy.
Yeah.
Shawn beat Bret.
If he didn't make that connection and say it out loud, like, who are you even?
We then go back to Vince and Bobby, and they're in front of some kind of wrapped present.
What's in the box?
And Heenan's on the phone, and then he turns around and says, the Ultimate Maniacs will not go to the ring together as a team at Survivor Series. One of them will have a new partner.
What?
So it's such a convenient way to stop that from happening.
And Bobby must have some really good sources, as the Ultimate Warrior had been fired once again from the WWF.
Well, Bobby was also head of talent relations, so he did the firing. That's not true. I don't think he was.
And we won't see Ultimate Warrior again for about 4 years. He literally does nothing.
Yeah.
In the 4 years.
Yeah, maybe he makes a comic book? Or is that later?
Maybe. I'm not quite sure. So I ask you, gentlemen, Saturday Night Main Event 31. What are your overall thoughts?
What's in the box?
I'd like to know that too.
I thought we were going to find out what was in the box.
I was worried it was going to be another fucking giant egg that they were going to roll out at Survivor Series. So
You leave the gooker alone.
I thought the new partner was going to pop up out of the...
Oh, yeah?
I mean, that would be cool.
It's a mini warrior?
I mean, they'd be perfect, so... Hey.
That would have been a good present for Heenan.
But yeah, that was... the show was great. 40 minutes, like 3 fun matches, all that were for something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No squashes, none that like were so bad that they should have been a squash.
All of them served a purpose and built up the next show as it was supposed to, instead of just being some nonsensical bullshit.
A perfect way to, get people excited for Survivor Series. Also,
you watch this, are you going, I kind of want to watch Survivor Series?
Oh yeah, as soon as you know it's champion versus champion at Survivor Series.
Once you know it's champion versus champion, and then you get the little tagline at the end about somebody having a new partner. What does that mean? They've been broadcasting the Ultimate Maniacs versus the Natural Machismo?
And
this is a great way to end your
Natural Machismo.
Yeah. And then the Taker promo is incredible. But this is a great way to end like the first run of Saturday Night Main Event.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, I literally was just like, this is a crazy fun show.
Yeah.
You get to see all the talent that you really want to see in a neat little 45-minute package.
There's some wrestling.
And
there's actually a couple wrestling matches.
There's really no filler at all on this show. Everything moves something forward completely.
Yep. It all flows beautifully. And I can understand why it's the last one.
That's a good reason
what
why
happens at the beginning of the next year, but it's still sad that this is the final for 14 years.
But this was a good one, a good Saturday Night Main Event for you to put on the schedule.
Definitely.
For sure.
I mean, come on, you can't miss Shawn Michaels' first
title.
I mean, you just can't.
No. And it's not like he won it in a squash match off of nobody should be winning the IC title in a squash match anyway. But it's not like it was him versus Brutus.
It's not 2020.
It wasn't Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It was I don't even know who the IC champion is at the moment.
It's Shawn Michaels now.
Well, yeah, no, I mean like in real IR in 2020.
Today?
Yeah, but
Jeff
I don't.
Hardy.
Okay.
Good. Where's the smart marks at?
There.
All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. Best moments of the show.
Brain scan.
Which one?
The whole.
Did he do it twice?
Or wait, no.
I think he only did it once.
I thought he only did the
once.
Ross Perot.
But
That's
just
right.
bringing it in, great name. Bobby's hilarious. An excuse for him to, make a pointed joke. Also shares a name with a terrible movie that I love.
My best moment, obviously, I'm a HBK fanatic through and through, so watching Shawn win his first singles title was awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's my best.
The opening moments of that match, they did some really cool, like, chain wrestling where, Davey Boy's using his power, but then Shawn starts using the speed to they attempt hip tosses, but then Michaels flips out of the hip toss go into a short arm scissors. It was just a fun little like
power and speed thing.
Seconds.
Like nobody even has to say anything because they just like are nailing it. You're like, oh, like I know what's going on here. It's like here's the story. Like even like a 5-year-old could watch it, maybe not be able to say what's happening, but like it's gonna drag you in.
I kept watching to see if Shawn was calling the match along the way too, but I didn't notice. So maybe. I mean,
heels normally call the match, right?
Maybe old Bulldog was fairly coherent this time.
Well, yeah. But not everybody's... Yeah, but most people aren't Bret Hart.
And I'd also like to point out another moment in that Michaels-Bulldog match, just to keep in your brains for later on.
Mm-hmm.
But Davey Boy goes for a superplex.
Yeah.
And Shawn basically... And it gets fucked up, and that's how Shawn wins the belt.
Yeah.
Just keep that in your minds...
Hold on to it.
For maybe another show that we'll cover at some point.
But yeah, there's nothing bad on this show. All 42 minutes of it are worth watching. Obviously, Brain Scan, I meant it, but in the laundry list of good things, that's like, icing on the cake. Because it's like, oh, great show, plus you added probably the coolest thing you could, like, the coolest new tool you could give the Brain is some John Madden bullshit so he can make stupid jokes.
Is the most disappointing thing basically that Money Inc. just walked out on the match, so we didn't really get a finish?
But
I mean, we're not putting the belt on the Ultimate Maniacs. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not because the Warriors canned at this point, I guess. But I was fine with that. I'm more disappointed about the stupid box.
True.
Seriously, it drove me nuts. It's driving
me
nuts
now.
Why are you
standing in front of a present?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they mentioned it before, and then they showed them in front of it, and then nothing happened with it. Yeah. They didn't even save it, for primetime wrestling the week after that.
I mean, nobody it couldn't have been anything
in that damn box.
Good, but I don't know.
As long as it's not Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Hopefully it's nobody's head.
Best performer of the night. It's Shawn, right?
It's Shawn. I gotta throw Bobby in there too, just because of a lot
Bobby's
of
always Bobby's always there. That's like, any show where it's Monsoon and Jesse, it's like, oh, what did you like about the show? It's like, well, it was a show that was commentated by Monsoon and Jesse, so that automatically makes it like, points better than it would have been if it was anybody else.
So probably 40 episodes ago or so, I told you when Bobby the Brain Heenan came on. Yeah. And you were sad that Jesse was gone.
But I have Jesse on the other side now, and him and JR are starting to mesh.
But I told you, I was like, you're going to enjoy Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Love him, Bobby.
Which one do you like better?
I mean, at this point, Jesse Monsoon over Vince and Heenan, although I do also like Vince as a commentator, and I'm enjoying their chemistry. But at this point in time, it's still Monsoon, and just because Monsoon and Jesse have better chemistry, and Monsoon is more fun than I think Vince will ever end up being, even though he's not bad.
And see, I gotta go for the Monsoon Bobby hybrid.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean,
there's not a whole lot.
Jesse doesn't do a whole lot for me on commentary.
I love him.
I've never been a huge Jesse fan because it's mostly just him talking about himself or how he's better than this person.
I know, it's great.
Or how he's been in Predator.
I love it. But it's him and Monsoon are just.
Don't get me wrong, I love Predator.
Our
but come
peanut
on
butter
now.
and
Running
chocolate
Man.
or peanut butter and jelly, they're just so good. And like Heenan, I feel like you could put him next to Gordon Soley, and it's still gonna be great.
True.
And I don't think you can put Ventura just next to anybody. That's why at first I was like, well, him and JR, but they're getting better. I don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we've
JR's getting more playful. you got to take a while to get chemistry. Calling a wrestling show, I imagine, is pretty difficult to do it well.
You remember the Rumble or SummerSlam or whatever it was from the late 80s where we had Jesse and Tony Schiavone together, and it was just a blah.
Tony is the best with a microphone in his hand standing next to a wrestler.
Yes.
That's where he shines with his bland ass.
Here we come, 93.
Woo!
How about most surprising? Anything surprising on this show? I mean, Shawn winning his title.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I mean, it's the reason we watched this show, so it wasn't surprising to me. But
yeah.
I mean, I watched it as it was airing all those years ago, so it's been in my memory bank for all these years. But most surprising for me was just the fact that two of your big stars in the company get fired right before or right after this episode.
Yep. Davey Boy and Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Davey Boy go, but I mean, he had some issues.
Yeah, as they're rolling into one of the big four pay-per-views, they fire two of their big stars with good reason, I'm sure. But it's just it was shocking for me because it was basically them hitting the reset button on themselves instead of somebody hitting it for them. Which I guess technically the wrestlers themselves hit the reset button for them because they're the ones who got in trouble for the.
I feel like I can guarantee you that even if without the steroid thing, and if Bulldog was a model employee, there's still no way in hell that he's ever gonna get more over than Shawn Michaels. Like it's just not in there. No. So it's like, okay, well, I mean, Warrior was wildly over, but I feel like that's still that he's still not Hulk Hogan. And I mean, and that's coming from somebody that's not a Hulk Hogan fan. Warrior looks better, but there's just something that's not there. Or maybe people are smartened up or tired of Hogan. So it's like, well, why do we need Hogan 2 but on more coke?
On the plus side, he did lose the meat suit you were talking about before.
Thank God.
The meat suit is just such a weird choice.
Yeah. Drop the meat suit and...
It'd be funny if him and Savage both wore meat suits instead of Savage dressing like a futon.
I'd like to see Warrior dress like Savage and Savage dress like Warrior just to see...
I'm fine with that too.
To see it.
Yeah.
Warrior in a cowboy hat with fringy boots would be great.
Where's that like USA daytime, like evening 6 o'clock show? Macho Man and Warrior on horses going through the desert.
Ultimate Savage swap.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Hulk Hogan had won the initial IWGP League in 1983 and was supposed to return to defend the title against the winner of the next year's tournament. But Hogan was unable to return, so the winner of the league would again become champion. The tournament, featuring 12 wrestlers with Antonio Inoki scoring more points than Andre the Giant, became the 1984 winner. Inoki would defend the title against the 1985 league winner in Andre the Giant, and later in the year versus the returning Hulk Hogan, defeating both. The following year, Antonio Inoki made the decision to vacate the title so that then he could compete in the 1986 IWGP League. During that rendition of the tournament, Inoki would pin Dick Murdoch in the finals to again become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. This would be the last time this version of the IWGP Championship would be used. The title would be deactivated and replaced by a newer version in time for the 1987 League.
So you're just talking like a new design, but it's still the same title, right?
It's a new design. It's a new lineage. That's why
Inoki was like, all right.
All these Inoki championship reigns really aren't. They're not in the same lineage as.
Yeah, because he was like, yo, I'm going to be on top.
Or Naito is now.
He's like, I'm going to be on top for this long. He's like, then I'm going to cut it off, start it over, and I'll back off a little bit. Is that the idea?
I mean, maybe we'll find out once we talk about the 1987 version.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want my answers now.
Like,
what's in the box?
I have no clue.
What happened in 1987? I was born in 1987.
I mean, I bet you find out in a couple weeks.
I'm sure you'll tell me all about it. You had me on the edge of the seat.
I just like keeping you on your toes.
Someone's got to.
But next week, Clash of the Champions 21.
Woo, the Clash could finally drink.
Have we done any back-to-back clashes before?
No. We did 6 and then we did 9. I think that's the closest we've ever done.
At this point, I feel like clashes are always fun.
We did 20.
Just watched all the clashes, but I'm sure they're not all good.
They're not all good.
They're not.
I mean, think of how bad Great American Bash was. Clash 19 was the first round of that.
Oh, the first round of the
tag team tournament.
That was Great American Bash. I was like, wait a second, Battle Bowl? That's Starcade. Anyway, okay. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad you suss out the bad ones.
We'll cover that next week. But the music from this week's show is the theme from Saturday Night Main Event and Hart Beat by Jimmy Hart and J.J. Maguire. It's a new theme that we get to listen to this week.
So they're few and far between sometimes.
I wonder if JJ's related to Jerry.
Probably completes him somehow.
Could be.
If you like this show...
Are you talking about the baseball player?
Jerry Maguire? The movie?
No, that's the redhead guy. Who's that guy? Maguire.
Oh, Mark Maguire.
Mark Maguire.
That's completely different spelling.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to spell.
If you like this show or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. You can always email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com. Send us any questions, comments, concerns, recipes.
All right.
We're still taking those.
We're going to Georgia, so look them
up. If you
up.
have something for Georgia, Pennsylvania,
the Cobb County salad,
or Japan, hit us up because we're going to be in those places. We're going to be in those places quite some time.
We're doing hard time in Georgia.
It's not hard time because we're going to enjoy all of it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not in Cobb County. We're going to Macon this next time. So.
I don't even know if Cobb County's a real place.
Or you can always do any of that other stuff. Hit us up on Twitter as well at Wrestling HistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.